Welcome to On the Beat, where we bring you a different Buffalo Bills beat reporter every week, exclusively on the Overreaction Sports Network.
Well, what is going on, everybody? Welcome everybody into this episode of On the Beat, brought to you exclusively on the Overreaction Buffalo Sports Network, presented by FanDuel. This is a show where we bring you a different Buffalo Bills beat reporter every single week, or journalist for the Buffalo Bills, to talk about the topics swirling around that team that we love so much. My name is Joe Miller. You can find me on Twitter at Joe Miller Wire. Do us a favor, please hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. Whatever platform you are consuming this presentation on right now, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. We would greatly appreciate it. Today, however, excited to have back with us longtime Bills beat reporter for The Athletic, friend of the show, Tim Graham. Tim, what's up, my man?
Joe, it is always good to be on. Thank you for showing a picture of me with a tighter shave. I promise that by the end of the week, I'm getting a haircut and the beard trimmed. But that guy that you showed on the thumbnail there, he's a lot younger than the guy that's on your show.
I'm going to be honest. Scrounging for pictures of beat reporters is probably the single hardest thing to do in trying to set up these shows, because
that is my official Athletic headshot. So it is okay. Up to date.
Gotcha.
That regard.
But Pat Moran does a fantastic job. Sometimes Pat gets pictures. I'm like, where did you get that picture? And then, like, when he builds his thumbnail, he'll like have print over it, so I can't steal it from him. It's just one of those things that goes into just producing shows like this one, trying to find good pictures. And you want to find something flattering, right? You don't want to find something where it's like, oh my God, that's the picture you picked for me. So, but you are definitely in full playoff beard mode there, bro.
Yeah, this is. I guess with the Sabres and 14 years and no playoffs, you got to start early just to make sure you don't jinx it. Just trying to dot I's, cross T's, all that type of stuff.
Before we get into the Bill stuff, it's Sabre season for the first time in a very, very long time. We're pivoting out of the Bill season into hope and excitement for a team that looks, I'm not going to say legit Stanley Cup, potential champions, but they're playing good hockey. What is the pivot? It can't be Kevin Adams. It's got to be coincidence that Kevin Adams gets fired and this team takes off.
I don't think it's total coincidence. I do think that there's a psychology involved, that there was a malaise over that entire organization, that it's always going to be the same. And maybe there are some there's a Venn diagram to be explored regarding Terry Pegula's decision on what to do with Sean McDermott and that whole proverbial playoff wall that Terry Pegula talked about, and the fact that a spark is needed, and he's seeing it with his hockey team. I think that there is a idea of coming to work every day if you're a Buffalo Sabre, and knowing that you're just not punching a time clock. And I know that may sound ridiculous to say when you're talking about making that kind of money, the dream job, playing a professional sport and all those things. But when you show up to work, to practice, to get on the plane, all those things every day, and you don't think you're ever going to get any help, you're not going to, the general manager's not going to make the move when needed, or a number of guys who just want out. And then all of a sudden the general manager's gone. And yes, they were playing well right before Kevin Adams got fired. But I do think there was a reset that really changed, that there is credibility in the front office. Jarmo Kekalainen and his resume, I think the ability to get moves done. Hey, we might actually be able to make a trade at the deadline now, or we're going to be able to do things that are proper for the organization and not just keep spinning our wheels here in what seemed like a minor league operation for far too long.
Yeah, it's always amazing when owners of hockey teams will call it, it's like, well, we don't have any money. Well, you don't win, and people will pay money to see winners. And it's just, and that stadium's filling up now. It's odd how winning fixes things, right? It's just bizarre, but that people don't get it. Billionaires don't always get it. Well, but I'm into it, bro. So I'm into I'm not going to start a playoff beard at this point. I have a beard, but I'm not going to grow a playoff beard.
This is accidental. This was, I'll get it when the Bills season's over or during Super Bowl bye week, if the Bills did make it to the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
But then we get into the off season and the Bills went and fired their coach, and things got a little hairy, I guess. I'll pun intended.
Unintended.
I could say unintended, but then I would have changed the word. So I guess I did intend that pun. But it's and I just haven't had the time. So tomorrow I have an appointment, 12. I'm getting it. If you want to check back in,
noon tomorrow. We'll have a new Tim Graham. Young, fresh Tim Graham. Awesome. Well, let's pivot over to the Buffalo Bills. The reason that we're chatting you up today. It was announced, at least, or it was tweeted by Sport Track yesterday, that the Buffalo Bills, 4 Bills players received contract guarantees, which just effectively means that they're on the roster. The contracts are guaranteed. Khalil Shakir, $11.9 million for 2026. His salary is guaranteed. No surprise. Christian Benford, $14.5 million 2026 salary, and $2.5 million of his 27 salary guaranteed. No surprise. James Cook's $9.4 million 2026 salary guaranteed. The one that stuck out to me, and I don't know, we talked about a pre-show if there's anything the Bills could have done. Terrell Bernard, linebacker Terrell Bernard, $8.9 million 2026 salary guaranteed for this season. I don't know where I'm at on that, Tim.
I don't think anybody does, because we don't know what Terrell Bernard's role is going to be. We know what he is in Sean McDermott's defense. Captain, a McDermott favorite, all of those types of things. Undersized linebacker. Is that going to be valued in Jim Leonard's defense? Is he going to play the Mike position in Jim Leonard's defense? How, so we know what the commodity is in category A, but category B is an unknown. And so he is clearly a good player, and he's a game changer when healthy. He's just never healthy. Right. And because he plays a role that lends itself to getting banged up. Undersized linebacker, shooting the gaps, filling the hole, attacking, doing that type of stuff. And that's why it's similar to Matt Milano, always hurt, a smaller size linebacker. And it'll be interesting to see how Jim Leonard deploys him.
Yeah.
I think that the only thing that we can really learn from this transaction is that he is valued by this coaching staff. What that means in terms of his role, we don't know. And also keep in mind that he is a captain, and he's respected by his teammates. And he is one of those try hard dudes, overachiever, I think, does everything the right way. It's why Sean McDermott loved him so much. I don't think that he's going to be a turncoat or anything like that, or just because Sean McDermott's gone, he's going to sulk. I mean, this guy wants to be a winner, and he wants to be healthy and out on the field. So he brings a lot to the table in terms of, I think, continuity of culture. And I do know that the Bills do value the culture staying the same somewhat, or else they wouldn't be bringing Joe Brady into this role. If they felt they needed to totally nuke the culture or bring in, they said new voice. And I think that got the fans excited as to, what's coming next? And it's like, oh, geez, that we've heard that voice. So in Jim Leonard's defense, maybe we'll see something different from Terrell Bernard. So it's hard to guess really exactly what the role is going to be, but he has proven himself to be a leader and a guy you would want in your program.
Yeah, fan favorite, made a lot of splash plays. There was an aspect of when we let Tremaine Edmonds go, I was on the opposite side of where a lot of Tremaine as well got a lot of hate in this defense. Not everybody. There was a large, amount of people that were happy to see Tremaine move on and really excited about Terrell Bernard. And I was like very unproven, very small, like wasn't sure. And then he comes out that first year that he was a starter, had that role and just like sealed up the spot. And what's funny, and where I'm going with that kind of question, that statement, is last year was tough for him. The injuries, we don't know to what level or extent he was injured. We know he was injured, and he was trying to keep himself on the field. But then Shaq Thompson getting on the field and kind of making intuitive, instinctive splash plays, which is what Terrell Bernard used to do, really kind of turned the fan base on Terrell Bernard, but it kind of made us want Shaq more than Terrell, right?
Yes, and I think that is a byproduct of the injuries. I think you get some of that with Dalton Kincaid too. You want so much of it. You see it when he's healthy and he just can't stay on the field. And so you do have a conversation about somebody like Dalton Kincaid and, well, do you want to pick up that option? Do you want to sign him to an extension? And when he's healthy, you would say it's a no-brainer. But what are you committing in terms of dollars and your salary cap space to a weapon, using finger quotes, a weapon for Josh Allen that isn't on the field? And even when he dresses, he seems limited a lot of times. So that's the frustrating thing. You can see what he can be, and you don't want to give that up. But at the same time, it's almost like you can't totally buy into the fact that this guy will be a game changer for you down the road, or let alone right now.
Yeah, for sure. And you hit on something that I've talked about. I haven't seen it widely talked about. Doesn't mean that people haven't been talking about it, but there is no way the Buffalo Bills can pick up Dalton Kincaid's 5th-year option right now, right? He's got to play a season. He's got to get through a season before you're committing a 5th year to him.
Joe, I don't know. I think maybe, I mean, to say no way, I think I don't know. I think they probably do.
Oh,
they don't have, it's not like there's a shed out back at One Bills Drive where you can go back out there and just find some more guys to catch the football. It's like they've had trouble with this. Going back to Terrell Bernard, the similarities are striking. He is a known quantity, just not out there enough to know, so I think, I don't know. I don't want to say there's no way they do it, Joe. It just seems kind of strange. I mean, you got to move on at some point or invest on the sure thing, but there have been no sure things. They are in such short supply. They've been trying to chase the sure thing for so long. Maybe you get Dalton Kincaid at a discount because his agent is reasonable. And I'm just speaking. I couldn't even tell you who his agent is right off the top of my head right now, but maybe there's hey, I want to stay here. And, we haven't been able to prove it and stay on the field. So it is a 5th-year option, so that it's not like you negotiate, but you can, but whatever. But it is, and this is, by the way, Pro Bowl tight end, Dalton Kincaid. I'm putting together a mailbag for this week, and I just got done writing this out, so it's fresh in my head. I'm going to stop using the word Pro Bowl to describe a player, unless exactly right. Unless he was a Pro Bowler before the 2008-2009 season, back when David Garrard, with his 15 touchdown passes and 10 interceptions and league high 14 fumbles, back when he was a Pro Bowler, because the guys are out of that game, and they've been out of the game for a long time. They come with injuries, they don't want to play, they cite fatigue. And that was when the game was still being played in Hawaii. And now you're not even going to get a free trip to Hawaii out of it anymore. So, Pro Bowler Dalton Kincaid, Pro Bowler Mitch Trubisky, Pro Bowler Tyler Huntley. Shadur Sanders was really the clincher for me. So unless it's pre 2008, 2009, or you've gotten to, I'm going to pick a number of 3. If you've been a Pro Bowler 3 times, even as an alternate, I think that mitigates the kookiness factor of the Tyler Huntleys and Shadur Sanders, and Dalton Kincaid is going to have to get in as more than a 3rd alternate.
More on Dalton Kincaid. It was revealed or reported that he was still suffering from a PCL injury and was not going to get surgery on it. I'll be honest, when I asked this question, I don't know. I was in LA for 10 days for a work trip and was kind of disconnected. What's the latest on that? How serious is it? Do we know? Does he need surgery and he's electing not to? Is it because it seems to be a lingering issue for him?
Yeah, you got to trust the doctors, I guess, on this one, and trust the player, trust the doctor as to what he needs. I mean, I'm not a medical specialist as to say, well, the PCL is something that you generally do this with, but the fact that it lingers on, I mean, the fact of, the surgery and the recovery, and I'd hate to pivot or hate to beg off that question, but another injury that I know that he said he would have played if the Bills had made the Super Bowl. But Josh Allen did say that this was a nagging foot injury. This is an old injury that came back. He did, but he wouldn't get into specifics about that. But yes, as minor as it was and trying to play through it, and he does play through injuries, but I think it's fair to question, and I guess maybe this ties it all together, of not being able to connect with Dalton Kincaid or Dawson Knox late in that game in Denver. If, the foot injury was hurting his motion, led to some of those turnovers, led to bad decisions or the inability to be effective. And, we keep talking about Josh Allen is about to be 30. And I'm not saying his body's going to break down, but I don't think that you can ever count on Josh Allen, especially with the way he plays, to be pristine in the postseason. You're going to have to find ways to win with a banged up Josh Allen in January and February. And we're talking about a foot injury. I know it, like we say, he's Superman and it is amazing. And you're going to have to kill the guy to keep him out of the game. And the leadership and how he gets his teammates all fired up, that the way he pops out of that medical tent like nothing ever happened. Like what were we even worried about? There's nothing to worry about. Well, there comes a time when these little things add up to a missed throw here, a fumble there.
Yep.
So anyways, I just wanted to make that point because it is something that we didn't get to really ask Josh about, or at least dive into it deeply enough, because I think everybody was wanted to talk to him about Joe Brady, and rightfully so. I think we had him for 15 minutes or so.
Right.
But he did refer to this being an old injury, but in his way, he was saying that's how little of a deal it is because it's an old thing. I've been dealing with this before. Well, things that you deal with over time have its own set of concerns.
Yeah,
things to wonder about.
Yeah, they can linger back, which a lot of times do. Talking with Tim Graham from the Athletic, talking Buffalo Bills. Started with the Sabres, which I don't know that we've ever talked Sabres on this program, so that was kind of fun. It's nice to have a reason to talk about the Sabres. But speaking of the roster, the Buffalo Bills, I think it was reported also by Spot Track that the Bills are either 14 or 15 million over the cap already. I don't know if that's with the new cap that came out and the adjustment that was been made, so I'm not perfectly up to speed. I don't necessarily expect you to be up to speed on it either. That's not the question I'm going to ask. There's an expectation that the Bills are going to move on from Dawson Knox. His cap hit is very, very large. He spoke at locker cleanout day like there's an expectation that he's probably not going to be around, even though he wants to stay. His wife is from here. His family is here. He said this is home. He's
in all the commercials here, Joe.
Yes,
I mean, he can't. All these companies would have to scramble if Dawson Knox is no longer on the Bills.
Exactly.
I mean, the Salinos can afford it, but some of these others might have trouble. T-Mark, what's T-Mark going to do?
I don't know. They're going to be lost without Dawson.
What is AC Tracy going to do? How is she going to fix the air conditioning without Dawson knocking?
I'm going to have to send all these companies an invoice for you bringing them up on my show. That's pretty great. That's funny stuff. But there's other players as well that are free agents that, there's some expectation, I think, too, that the Bills might walk away from Connor McGovern. I felt like in spot duty, both Alec Anderson and Van Pran Granger looked okay. David Edwards is another one that is going to command a good size salary. Is there anybody else out there that is just kind of on your radar, bubble guy, that we might be surprised to see not get back here?
No. Well, you mentioned some names there that make me think of things that I want to emphasize. And you mentioned Dawson Knox. Just real quick, I made the joke about the ads, but that's Dawson Knox and Josh Allen are tight. And Brandon Beane loves Dawson Knox. Now, I know that you could look back and criticize Beane for giving that extension, probably overpaid. Another Pro Bowl alternate designee there. Dawson Knox has a Pro Bowl on his resume, but I think that there's a way for him to stay. And I think like you said, he wants to stay. I think everybody wants him here. He's a big locker room guy and he makes the quarterback happy. And I think that is an undercurrent of every decision that will be made by this organization for the next few years. And it might be great, or it might also turn frustrating to fans to see that everything flows through Josh Allen. And while you say, yeah, that's our Josh and he's going to get us there, if anybody, let's keep him happy. But we'll see how happy. When they were going to make Davis Webb the quarterback's coach, even though he was an active NFL player, was kind of an eyebrow raiser back when Brian Dable left and took Shea Tierney with him. And, is Joe Brady have this job to keep Josh happy? And Joe Brady was almost taking a subservient kind of role to Josh Allen at that introductory news conference. All I want to do is to do everything for him. I've said it in other podcasts, so I hate I'm sorry, I'm not being original, but you could almost hear the "Everything I do it for you" Bryan Adams singing in the background during Joe Brady's news conference. So anyways, Dawson Knox might not be done.
Interesting.
I am interested and encouraged, if you're a Bills fan, you should be, by Pat Meyer coming on as the offensive line coach. And why that's important, and Austin Gunn coming back as the assistant offensive line coach, is because that creates a common thread to the Aaron Kromer line. And Pat Meyer used to work with Aaron Kromer. They all speak the same language. They speak all the same skills and traits and all these things. And you have guys who can talk about that on this podcast way more eloquently and in depth than I can. But David Edwards and Connor McGovern owe a lot in their careers to Aaron Kromer. Now, he's not here anymore, granted. Correct. But he's not anywhere. He's retired. It's not like he went to another team. And I think that Connor McGovern told me for a future story I did about Aaron Kromer that he came to Buffalo specifically to play for Aaron Kromer.
Wild.
And David Edwards says that he owes his career 2 times over because the draft, when he came out, when he was with LA, and then when he came to Buffalo, his career was in a crossroads both times. Aaron Kromer believed in him. So again, they're not staying. They wouldn't be staying to play with Aaron Kromer, but they'd be staying in the family, so to speak. So I think that move makes it interesting. I don't know that these guys are going to take pay cuts because you don't get too many opportunities to go for this type of contract when you still have tread on the tire. But if they would lean anywhere, it would be to be with the coach who is of the Aaron Kromer family, and to block for what they think was pretty cool, an MVP one season and an NFL rushing king the next.
Yeah.
And those things speak to offensive linemen. So can they keep them both? It's going to be hard. It's going to be hard. But I think both of them want to be here and would love to find a way to make it work.
Yeah, I think that's one of the biggest things about the culture piece, to include the members of the staff that they did retain. Dawson Knox talked about, I forget what the tight end coach's name is. I've got it pulled up here somewhere.
Rob Boris.
Rob Boris, spoke about highly of Rob Boris. And I think in that interview, he said, or no, it was the podcast that he was on. He said, wherever I end up, I hope Rob Boris is there with me. Because obviously it was somewhat, you didn't know at that point if Rob was going to stay on this staff. So that culture staying the same is a pretty big deal. Again, talking with Tim Graham. Before we get into just kind of like the final question or two, why don't you tell everybody, Tim, where they can find your work?
Yeah, it's right there on my name. I put the that's my Twitter / Blue Sky / Instagram, although I'm not really on Instagram, which I guess is ironic. I should be on Instagram. But I just haven't done much there. All that, by Tim Graham. My stories you can see at The Athletic. I have a podcast, Tim Graham and Friends, with my co-host Jonah Bronstein, and we do a lot of non-Bills stuff there too. So it's Bills heavy. I would say it's a majority of our discussion is Bills, but we also talk Sabres and the local colleges and what's going on in the local Buffalo sports scene, and probably some other things. Buffalo Kickoff Live, or I'm sorry, it's Bills Kickoff Live on Channel 4, the CBS affiliate in Buffalo. That's pregame stuff and draft specials, free agency specials, that type of stuff.
Doing it
and I do get my hair cut for that. I will. But doing Joe Miller's podcast, I couldn't. No, I couldn't get there.
Oh, you've been doing this a long time, and you've paid your dues, and it provides you opportunity, and it's great to have the amount of content that you bring us as fans of both the Bills and the Sabres as well. So I know you covered them for a long time.
Thanks, Joe. Yeah. 7 years on the Sabres, which I loved. And just the other day I was thinking, because that was such a big part of my life, and in my mind, it was a big chunk. And I was thinking, geez, I wonder how much longer I've done the NFL than the Bills. And in my mind, just quickly as that thought pops into my head, I'm like, just like what, 3 or 4 more years? This is my 20th year covering the NFL.
Holy smokes. This
would be my 20th season. Yeah. I only did 7 on the Sabres, but
2 decades. 2 decades. That explains the gray in that beard, bro. So.
Right. I should be tripping on this beard.
How many times have you heard one gray hair for every time you've heard a coach say, I've got to look at the film?
Right. That one.
So yeah.
Oh, geez. And now it was the process. Now it'll be alignment.
Yep. It'll be something will carry over, and we'll get it over and over and over again for sure. Real quick on the Super Bowl, because I haven't really gotten to talk to anybody about it. So the Patriots go to the Super Bowl and lose. I'm not going to use the word fraud. There are times that Drake May has looked really good playing NFL football. First question about the Super Bowl in general is thoughts on the East and the Patriots next season as it pertains to the Bills, like facing them. Are the Patriots now the guys on top? Do you think there's room there? I don't want to use the word fraud. Is it up for grabs?
Yeah. Here's the thing, and I think this is because so much is put into the Super Bowl and so many eyes are on it, so you're going to have an opinion. Mm-hmm. I am not going to just say the Patriots, and again, to use your word, frauds. I think that's an appropriate word to use based on the discourse that I'm seeing here. It is as though that season didn't happen. It is as though somebody just plugged the Patriots in the Super Bowl, and it's like, all right, let's see if these guys are any good. They had a body of work, and they did well as a team. And just because Drake May struggled in his second NFL season, but still his team reached the Super Bowl. And he's going to have a long off season to think about especially those last two games. And if Bo Nix doesn't hurt his ankle in a freak play at the end of that Bills game, Denver's probably in the Super Bowl and not New England. But here's some things that New England, to look at and say they've been solved or they were a mirage. It's tempting to do because of everything that's put into the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
And the 2 weeks of leading up and the whole thing and all the eyes on it. But two things. They have a ton of salary cap space. They have a lot of room to to do things. Drake May is still on his rookie contract. And here's another stat. And I don't know if it finished the season this way, but late in the season, only one team in the entire league had more rookie snaps taken than the New England Patriots. It was the Cleveland Browns. So what that says, they also had 30 first-year players. They turned over that roster from last year that won 4 games. These were all new dudes.
Right.
And you have room to do other things. So they hit on their draft picks because their rookies are playing.
Yep.
They obviously hit on their free agents because all these first-year guys are playing. This, to me, is like the model of what the Bills would hope, right? They need to hit on their draft picks and their free agents. That's something the Bills haven't done since 2018. I mean, they hit the big one. They hit the biggest one of all, right? But this is where the microscope or the spotlight, I guess, is on Brandon Beane. No more excuses. No more wondering, is this a Sean player or a Brandon player? Is this a Sean call or a Brady or a Dorsey call? Or was this Gable or any of this? Or was this Leslie or was this what? No more of that. Everything goes through, because of alignment, everything goes through Brandon Beane and Josh Allen, and so that's it. Here we go. I mean, it's time to prove it. And that's what I think it's probably nerve-wracking for Bills fans, but it's also what makes this so fun, right? Let's find out. We're going to find out what the Bills got in terms of their front office and the brain trust, and no more places for anybody to hide.
Yep, and we are absolutely good point to end on. We are going to find out. We've got the free agency coming up. We've got the draft coming up. You'll be covering all of that, and I'll be excited to get you back on the program for some of those times as well. Tim, thank you so much for being here. I appreciate you.
Thank you, Joe. Thanks for having me.
Yep, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for tuning into On the Beat on the Overreaction Buffalo Sports Network, presented by FanDuel. Do us a favor on the way out, hit that like and subscribe button. What do we got tomorrow, Wednesday? 7 days to Sunday with Zig Fracassi and Jerry Ostrowski, and then Anthony Marino will be bringing you a podcast on Saturday morning, as always, and then we will be back for the Buffalo Sports Show on Sunday night. But for me, for John, for Jerry, for Tim, and all of us here at Overreaction, we appreciate you guys. Love you. Go Bills!